Hello and welcome to Defence Line, our weekly show on defence, security and more. The recent Chinese intrusions in Ladakh have once again triggered a standoff with China. This followed a detachment of Chinese troops entering 10 to 20 km inside the Indian territory and pitching a tent east of the Rakhi Nala in mid-April. Should this matter be treated as a localized affair, or is it prudent to try and force a military cum diplomatic solution? This is what we discuss in Defence Line today with Brigadier Pradeep Sharma, who had commanded a brigade on the Chinese frontier, Lieutenant General SBS Kochar, former head of the Indian military team in Bhutan and author of a study on Northeast, and Professor S.K. Sharma, a former member of the National Security Advisory Board. Gentlemen, welcome to the discussion. But let us look at what the issue is.
The latest round of Chinese incursions in Ladakh on April 16th has once again led to a standoff between the two powerful neighbours. This happened when the Indian Army discovered that a detachment of People's Liberation Army of China had come deep inside the Indian territory and established a tented post in a dry rivulet. The government on Friday for the first time admitted that the Chinese troops had intruded as much as 19 kilometers inside Indian territory to pitch their tents into the Burthe area in Daulat Beg Oldi area. This area is a part of the Debsang sector in Ladakh. What is worth noting is the fact that the nearest road on the Chinese side of the LAC is around 75 kilometers away from where the Chinese soldiers are currently stationed. It is suspected that Chinese Army all-terrain vehicles carried 30 to 35 PLA troops to position them on the Indian side of the LAC. In retaliation, Indian Army personnel along with ITBP Jawans set up camps in the area. The option of additional troops is also being considered by the Indian side. The standoff continues even after many days and two flag meetings between the two armies. One section of experts believe that this is a localized affair, whereas many others believe that it is a security and diplomatic failure on the part of the Indian government to protect the Indian territory. While the Indian government publicly downplayed the incident, the fact that the army chief visited the northern state of Jammu and Kashmir gives away the seriousness in the Indian camp. The Indian Army has reportedly suggested various options to the government, including military posturing. Two ancient countries with a long history of territorial dispute share 4,057-kilometer long line of actual control. This leads to a long pattern of intrusions by both sides. Official figures point to more than 200 Chinese incursions every year, a violation that the government refers to as transgressions. After reports of a military build-up by China, India too has not only improved its infrastructure and upgraded certain airstrips, besides it is also in the process of raising a strike mountain core for the area. The entire incident must be viewed in light of the fact that there is a forward movement in Indo-China relations. The new Chinese premier is scheduled to visit India next month, and Indian Foreign Affairs Minister Salman Khurshid is also scheduled to visit China on the 9th of May.
We are in conversation with three military experts. Brigadier Sharma, let me start with you. You commanded a brigade on the Chinese frontier. You've been a member of the study group. In your opinion, how serious is the Chinese intrusion in East Ladakh?
Well, sir, going by the fact that there are 200 to 300 such incursions or adventures which occur every year, this is just one more. But then if you got to read further, you got to analyze, have they got a track, how have they come in 19 kilometers, with what wherewithal are they there, what further intentions can this serve?
Now, this is interesting. You say that 200 to 300 of them every year. So, why is this such a hue and cry this time?
Yeah, I think.
Yes, General Kochar?
General Kochar would like to.
I think this is after the famous incident at Somdra Chu.
Are you referring to the 86 incident or
yes,
the one after that?
The one after that.
Okay.
What I am trying to say is that this is the time they have come and stayed put, otherwise they come
And they
go back. And this is the first time they violated all the three, the land, air and sea and the water. You know, you have the Pengong Lake.
Right.
They have gone into the much beyond their area or their share of that lake, and they have almost hit couple of our boats. So, therefore, it's an attempt to nibble. Now, if they go back, well, you can say what Brigadier Sharma is saying is correct, but if they don't, it's been almost a week, 10 days.
Jal Kochhar, you've been in Bhutan, you know the area very well. Give us an overview of what exactly is going on the Chinese frontier.
Well, we must first know how they operate. Generally, it is surprise, stealth and nibble.
Okay.
These are the three stages that they go through. And nibbling means it may start with a few hundred yards. In this case, they have come to 19 kilometers as per yesterday's report.
Yes.
So, 19 kilometers is no nibbling, it's really moving forward. The question now
It's
is whether
actually marching across, really.
Yes, yes. It's a question of whether they are going to stay put or they are going to get back. If they are going to stay put, the matter is serious. If they are going to go back, then you could say yes.
But talking about this incident, whatever has happened in the last couple of days, from the strategic point of view, whether we call it nibbling or the way they have done it, they kind of
No,
almost
I was
marched in.
trying to come to it. Now, why are they doing it at this point of time? There must be a reason as to why they are doing it at this point of time.
What do you think is the reason?
Well, the reason is very simple. According to me, I think they are quite aware of the fact that within the country there is a lot of turmoil. There is an explosion of anger within the country on whatever we may say, on corruption, on governance, and our housekeeping has not been too good.
Okay.
And therefore, they find that this is the appropriate time when we have got all our attention towards various activities within.
So, they are taking advantage of whatever conditions that prevail in
advantage.
India. Quickly, Professor Sharma, your view on how serious are these intrusions?
I think if you go into the history, whenever there is a visit of some high official from China to India or India to China, they create a diversion here.
Okay.
So that the dialogue gets hijacked over there and they are able to get you off the feet. This is number one. Number two is that if you look into the framework of settlement, there are 6 you see conditions, and one of the conditions is that when the settlement comes in, the naturally identifiable you see the natural features, they should be taken into consideration.
Right.
I think this is the area which was free, and they feel that if they could get onto this, they will be in a positive position.
Jal Kochhar, let me come to some specifics. There has been an article by the former Ambassador P. Stobden. He says that China is gradually encroaching upon our grazing fields.
Yeah.
And this is by a plan. The plan is to make India defenseless both in the Indus Valley and also the Nubra Valley. You think there is merit in that?
Yeah, as I told you earlier that they are now trying to find out as to wherever there is an empty space, wherever they can gain advantage, wherever we have our presence is not there as frequently as it should be. Well, and since the border is absolutely not demarcated on ground, in 32 years and 17 meetings, if the border has not been demarcated, you can well imagine that there is a lot of vacuum over there. And therefore, wherever there is an empty space, why not nibble, because then they are in a better bargaining position, and in the process they are going in for areas where there are grazing lands. So,
yes, but in this case, since it's only a small detachment which is actually come in of about 30 to 40 troops. So, that's why I am trying to make it a kind of localized affair.
That is why I said that it is an incursion as long as they go back. But what if they do not go back?
Right.
Then you will have to take some steps, isn't it? You can't just wait and watch.
Not only talking in terms of the tactical terms, but also the strategic terms. Some experts feel that China wants to enter from the south, Karakoram, and then cross the Shyok from the east. Now, this would make the Nubra Valley vulnerable.
True, but I think that is far fetched at the moment, because we have.
But this could be the first
This
step.
could
really.
be, yes, this could ultimately be ending up to that, but that is for wait and watch. I mean, it is too premature for us to come to that conclusion.
Right, Professor Sharma, but China has been blaming it on our aggressive build up, posturing. We activated some of the airfields like Daulat Beg, Oldi, Fukshe, Neoma. We also talking in terms of raising a strike corps and all that.
Yeah, I think they are this is true. Reason is that we have neglected this area for empty number of years, and now that we have suddenly woken up. In 84 also earlier, earlier you see airfields, they have been doing the same thing. I think this is what they are doing the same. They are just repeating the history.
So is our posturing responsible for, possibly responsible for whatever has happened?
Yeah, I think so. That is what I.
So then, is it fair to blame them?
We should have done what they have done earlier.
Yes, Brigadier Sharma. Yes.
You know, I'd like to add something here. Our posturing has nothing to do with their response.
Okay.
You mean to say because China was making roads and you know, infrastructure was being laid out in Tibet and other areas under its occupation, we should have mobilized our army because they are posturing? You know, whatever we are doing is to safeguard our interest and our territorial areas.
But Brigadier Sharma, when you talk in terms of raising a mountain strike corps, by the very name of a mountain strike corps means that the operational responsibility is of a certain nature.
In the mountains.
Okay.
And there are mountains towards Pakistan and there are mountains towards China. And at some point of time we also
But raising a strike corps means you have aggressive intent, no?
No, not necessarily. It may mean that you need to have more forces to dislodge the enemy where he's made an ingress also.
It is actually primarily with the view to have a riposte in case there is a big penetration inside, but that sort of a situation.
But for that you would not need a normal corps headquarters, not a strike corps headquarters.
No,
this is offensive defense, not defensive offense.
No,
no,
but sorry.
Professor Sharma?
Yeah, you see Sukhois, then Prithvis, then other. You see, we are slowly you see moving towards the you see strengthening our,
or at least some kind of a parity.
Yeah, parity. That's right.
Like
we are doing it.
I'd like to share something
Okay.
more as a ground commander,
Okay.
than as someone sitting in a in a room like this and talking about
Okay.
things. Now, much before I did, General Kocher commanded a brigade in the same division, and a sensitive area, and I commanded one which is a little more challenging.
Right.
And I think we'll both agree, very often Chinese troops would come and they'd break up some pillbox or bunker, not pillbox, but some defense position of ours, and sort of try and sort of tickle us a little to get us to respond, just to prove that they can do whatever they feel like and get away from it. Right? Somehow or the other, all the way up the chain, people used to say, no, you shouldn't retaliate, you shouldn't retaliate. Now, I felt I should not allow my troops to be cowed down by such an exercise on the part of the Chinese, and if they did indulge in something like this, we should wrap them up and sort of.
So did you do that whenever that happened?
Fortunately for them, they didn't do it during my command.
Okay.
They didn't, because we were aggressive. We were aggressive.
Professor Sharma, now what is the way forward? The Indian Army has suggested various options, including aggressive military posturing.
So ultimately, you see, talking with China is like running a marathon race.
Okay.
If you sprint, you are bound to lose it. So one thing is that we must keep a balance, that it is a long, already you see 17 rounds and so many years. Number two is that the counter posturing little bit is required, so that they know okay, the red line is here and we can't cross it. That has to be done. But ultimately, it has to be the talks between the.
But I don't think the media, particularly the electronic media, the TV channels, are looking at it like a marathon. They are making it out to be maybe a 400-meter sprint or something. No.
Yeah,
they are hankering for harder military options.
No, we had already already paid the price for such a sprint, and I think we should be little careful. We shouldn't be cowed down, but at the same time we shouldn't be over ambitious also to get onto them, because no country has been able to do that with any other country.
General Kocher, is military posturing a desirable option? Could it escalate matters?
Yeah. Now, let me first attempt to set this rhetoric, that I take you back to April 2012. You had a chief of army staff who wrote to the Prime Minister, which was out in the press and it was blown up, and everybody said in the parliament that we would like to know what are the shortages.
Right.
And in that famous letter, the shortages were outlined.
Right.
And just to mention a few,
Right.
he said, I am not prepared for war. The army is not prepared for war was a content of that letter. And in that letter he mentioned that mechanized vehicles are short, we had artillery which is obsolete, inadequate, we have air defense which is antiquated, we have armor which is unreliable, we have night fighting capabilities which are inadequate, aviation hepters need replacements, holding of missiles is critically low, and what was most important was WWR, war wastage reserves, were not there.
It's a long list. So, were we good enough in any field?
So, therefore, I want to tell you today it is April 2013.
Are we any better off?
We are much worse, plus we have lost the 197 hepters which you would need it in these areas now. 197 hepters, you know, which were supposed to be coming, that is spike ATGMs and hepters are not going to come. So, therefore, there is already a delay. Decision making is very slow, and as if the Chinese do not know about it, they know everything about us. And therefore, we had another chief during Kargil war who said we will fight with whatever we have.
Yes, we all know about that. Brigadier Sharma, since you have been a brigade commander in that area, militarily on ground, how well placed are we today?
Well, I can say that we are much better off when people talk about 62 and things like that. Well, its situation is not like 62, but in the same breath, I would say that I would like to be better off even from where we are at the moment. There's lots more to be done.
But talking specifically of Ladakh, what kind of the troop levels do we have, and do we need to have better troop levels there? Do we need a strike corps in that area in particular? Why I say that is, I remember General Sundarji, when he was the army chief,
yes,
he had stationed some tanks there.
Yes, the terrain is such that there is armor mobility. Even light vehicles, Ladakh is almost akin to Kirang Plateau in the east. And in Kirang as well as Ladakh, I could drive a gypsy at 115 kilometers an hour with no road.
Right.
And if you look carefully across the border, there are areas where the Chinese have made roads. They're natural surface roads, but they just left the bridges out where they need bridges.
So,
That's
would you suggest that our formations there have more strike capability?
I definitely feel, see, mountains eat up troops.
Okay.
And they also have very well defined areas of ingress. So, you hold those areas of ingress, but you need to have some kind of mobility and capacity of hitting around from left, right, wherever it is, to make the enemy recoil. And you can't thin out your defenses to do that. Okay. So, you definitely need a superior quantum of reserves, and if you want to call it a strike corps mountain, call it a strike corps mountain.
Right. General Kochhar, militarily, what else needs to be done for both the sectors, the Ladakh sector and the Arunachal sector?
I think we have to first of all make up our shortages. It is going to be infantry intensive.
Absolutely.
Because if we have to face the Chinese someday or the other, well, it has to be, and once the demarcation is done, then there should be no vacuums left, right, no empty spaces left. Thereafter, we will have to have troops right on the border, and that is why I think it is a step in the right direction to raise more to have more troops. But at the same time, military power is not the only quotient. I mean, diplomacy must carry on, but we must learn from this that this could happen again, and therefore, whatever we have, let us safeguard that, and wherever we can stop them, let us at least say thus far and no more. In the meantime, our diplomacy must carry on. Yeah. And the coefficient of power is military is only one of the.
But since the line of actual control is not demarcated, and that has been a problem, I think should we aggressively try and convince China to demarcate the line of control?
Yes, but whether they would do it or not is a $1 million question, because it suits them not to do it as far as possible. They have come to truck with all other countries except us.
Right.
With Philippines, of course, there was a little problem and they put a blockade over there. Now, that sort of a thing cannot happen here.
But if you could do it with Pakistan, I remember in 72, I think we demarcated the LOC very clearly. So, it can be done here. Of course, it will require a lot of give and take. Possibly, maybe a lot of give, then take.
So, therefore, they are trying to push us.
Okay.
Now, it is a question of how far we can go. But at the same time, while we must negotiate, there is no doubt about it. All these visits must carry on, our foreign minister must go, secretaries must go, but at the same time we must now raise the level of our guard. In the background,
raise the level of our guard. Brigadier Sharma, you want to say?
Yeah, I want to say, the question is of what we want to give, because when you start demarcating, they are staking a claim to a large chunk of our territory. So if you start demarcating and they demand that, are we willing to give? That's one aspect. Second thing, it is willingly demarcated. In my brigade sector, we had taken GPSs and compasses, and off the map you've got cairns marked on that, and I had got my troops to go all along the LAC and reconstruct those cairns wherever they'd been blown away by wind or weather, and paint them in in a different color so that they could be seen from far. And patrolling also is being done almost in every area in such a manner that we respect the sanctity of whatever has been identified.
We all know the problem still remains.
There are gaps because the terrain is so tough and so vast. You can't patrol the entire area. And this particular sector, if I may say so, is under the ITPP. ITPP troops are tough. They are local and they are absolutely hardened. Then to say that they are not patrolling it would be incorrect. They are patrolling it. But there are large gaps.
Right. Professor Sharma, now, media reports suggest that China would perhaps force certain preconditions on us before they withdraw from this particular Rakhi Nala.
You see, problem is that the framework for settlement is, there are 6 conditions, and they have been very deliberated, that the interest of the population is not to be done, then natural features should be there, then the sensitivity of each countries need to be taken into account, and all these things are very well defined, that what will be the overall framework. Now, there are 2 things. One is that we forget that we are also needling China. Tibet is it's my personal view that till the Tibet problem is Dalai Lama is here, till that is not settled, they will go on keeping this.
But Professor Sharma, not talking about the bigger issue, in this particular case, if China sets certain preconditions before withdrawing from here, should we agree to these? I mean, these could be refraining from air violations, dismantling some of the infrastructure and all that.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so, because we have not put any preconditions on what they have done. So, from that particular point of view, a little posturing is needed, maybe a standoff over there. It has to continue, because red line has to be drawn. If we don't, they will go on poaching on our land.
A red line will have to be drawn. General Kochhar, in case China does not withdraw from here, should we cancel the visit of the Chinese premier next month?
No,
I that our own external affairs
diplomatically, we should carry on with what we are doing. That will be a retrograde step.
But what about military steps? I mean, we've been
that is what I am saying.
Kind of
make up your shortages. Make up your shortages. Don't wait 5 years to raise a corps. Do it as fast as possible. And wherever it is
but should we continue with our hand-in-hand, counter-terrorism exercise that we've been having with China?
Yes. I mean, those things must carry on, because if we are talking about a nation state, we are not talking about small issues here and there. That will continue. Those irritants will be there. This must carry on, but what needs to be done at post haste is that make up your deficiencies, fill in the gaps where you have to, and make up your infantry shortages. Shortages must be made up with speed.
Now,
and
this
dispatch.
incident apart, and talking of other than military measures, what else needs to be done, Professor Sharma?
You see, problem is that you have to keep them engaged. These particular things generally they are called the peacock stuttering. So, they will continue doing it. They have been doing it. Last year it was 400 such. Even VK Singh has said that.
So, keep the Chinese engaged, but what do we need to do in-house?
In-house, we have to build our strength, that there is no two opinion about it. And I think public opinion, in one way the media has given a little strength to the government in negotiation.
Okay.
I think it has been a positive step. Maybe the government itself has encouraged the media to do it initially, because what happens is when the negotiations are going on, your public opinion is a big sort of.
So, we can use public opinion as a handle to bargain harder with the Chinese.
That's
Professor
right.
Sharma, the last word from you.
I feel, to address your question, what else? Whatever militarily we are thinking of doing, whatever public opinion is being, public opinion is a very soft handle to wave in front of the Chinese when you are at a table negotiating things. But what we've lost out on and what we need to recover quickly is absorbing these areas, maybe from the point of view of adventure, from tourism, from encouragement of our own citizens and foreigners visiting all that, so that we stake our claim in it nice and proper. Infrastructure must be built up and we must support the locals in that area. We are shy of doing that. Someone says, it's an environmental hazard. Someone says, no, the Chinese will use this road. Well, the Chinese will use
but
it.
There are people who are staying there, so maybe we can support
build
those
on
people.
that. We should build on that.
Right. Thank you very much, Brigadier Sharma, Professor Sharma, General Kochhar. While it may be tempting to opt for military options to end the current standoff with China, it would be desirable to work out an amicable solution across the table. This incident once again underlines the need to try and resolve the long-standing border dispute without lowering our guard. That is all in Defence Line today. Do write your feedback. Good luck and goodbye.
खबरों की दुनिया में आइए, हमारे साथ कहीं भी और कभी भी जुड़िए। हम मिलेंगे फेसबुक पर, हम दिखेंगे यूट्यूब पर, हमें फॉलो कीजिए ट्विटर पर। खबरों के साथ बने रहिए रात दिन।